Hi, everybody. It is now Friday, the 6th of October, 2023. And right now it's roughly, 9:45 in the morning, Chicago time, Central Standard Time. Uh, yeah, I did a little change to what you see behind me. I hope you understand what it means. Yeah, remember, I'm a clairvoyant, clairaudient, psychic. Everything is for entertainment purposes only. So let's get down to thing. It's like no specific order, but it's where I found things on different news feeds and other information that popped in. So here we go. Yeah, the yesterday I was busy doing something and I just heard Wallis pop in with a short phrase because we all know there's stuff going on and pertaining to if there are or aren't kids or whatever. And we all know that the mess going on with Henry and Rachel. Well, Wallis gave me the message saying that Henry needs to research how his great-grandfather treated David. If anything, when the divorce happens, Henry will have rooms at St. James Palace. But no kids are going to be around. She said Swiss boarding schools. So my guess is that, yeah, she knows a divorce is happening. Wallis is like, okay, divorce is on the horizon. Don't know when, but whatever children are alleged to be theirs will not be seen in England. They'll be packed off to a boarding school. So that's what I picked up. Now let's get on to the other stuff. I mean, it's just been crazy here in the States and all over the place. Yeah, we're seeing that nonsense with the Speaker of the House. I've been focused on other things I have had to take care of, but yeah, I did see the one clip that Donnie T is supporting Jim Jordan from Ohio, which is kind of interesting because they had that chemical spill from the train, and still nobody from JoJo's admin or Department of Transportation, Pete Butthead, has really done anything about it. So yeah, it's we got to keep our eyes on that. And I know the girl who has her channel is Squirrel Tribe. She stays focused on a lot of these and she does a lot of really good work. And she'll pick one topic and do a deep dive and lets people know what she's found out. Now, something that has popped out, and it's not looking good for JoJo. Hold on, it's like... Yeah, it's the annual sinus infection time. So it's like, yeah, because the leaves are going to fall and the pollen and yeah, I'm taking lots of stuff to dry my sinuses out so you get kind of thirsty all the time. Okay, well, to get back, okay. They're now talking about how we know wire transfers were being sent. Well, I guess back a lot of these wire transfers started to go to JoJo and Hunter starting in 2014. Now, somebody was able to put the puzzle pieces together, and they realized in 2019, Hunter spent basically the entire year hanging out in California. Well, we all know California is the land of fruits and nuts. So he was in his own element out in California. But while Hunter was hanging there out on the West Coast, the left coast, the Big Red Sea was sending wire transfers to Hunter, but the address was JoJo's. So why is the Big Red Sea sending wire transfers to Hunter in Wilmington, Delaware, when he's living in California? The money was meant for Daddy. Yes, yes, yes. Now, something that I caught on a streaming news channel out of India, they're putting out this piece of propaganda stating the U.S. is now going to start deporting all these people from Venezuela who didn't follow the legal process of coming into the United States. Well, duh. Colombia is giving them automatic citizenship. But I'm asking, okay, we're going to kick out the guys from escaping socialist Venezuela. Why aren't we also going to kick out the guys who came over from the Big Red Sea, the North Africans, and the dudes that pray 5 times a day? That's kind of like being discriminatory. It's like, oh, the Venezuelans got to go, but the other idiots can stay. So, okay, the people that will tell the woke youth what socialism is really like, oh, they're going to be booted out so they can't talk to the kids. But the invading army is allowed to stay. Yeah. Yes, yes. That is what I'm getting on it. They don't want the truth about socialism to be taught to the kiddie poos or the wokey idiots. And right now, it's so ironic that out of Denver came this story, and they're talking about how people who have a Latin heritage, people who've come to the United States from Central America, they're being trash talked because many of them don't speak the native Spanish dialect of the country that their parents or grandparents came from. Well, excuse me, but America is a melting pot, and our common language is American English. Yeah, I grew up in a household where the older people spoke Polish, Hungarian, and High Deutsch. And as a little kid, I would overhear like the older people, like my grandmother, talking with her sisters in a different language. Yeah. But because I was born in America and I'm an American, I was never taught the old home language because my grandfather's attitude was, okay, yeah, in the house we follow certain traditions, but outside of the house we are total Americans, and Americans speak English. So why are people who are descendants of legal immigrants from countries that speak a dialect of Spanish being persecuted because they don't speak their that dialect? I mean, it's okay, yeah, so we have this Latin Heritage Month week, whatever it is. Why aren't we having a Heritage Day week for all the people that came out of the UK? The people who came from France, Germany, Italy? I mean, of course, the Burn, Loot, Murder crew doesn't want any acknowledgement for the people who came from Italy. They say Christopher Columbus was a horrible person and all his statues must be removed. But here they're making other people feel bad because they are Americans and they speak English. So we really gotta, these woke idiots need to be, those are the ones that need to be re-educated. Okay, now they're back and forth talking about it, and it's it's getting ridiculous because the woke fools are now being, parents are standing up because and I caught this on a non-American news site. Well, we know that that a lot of parents in California especially are rebelling against the school districts because the school districts are basically, they're not teaching kids how to read or do basic math or the true history, but instead they're putting they're forcing this trans ideology into children who don't even know how to tie their shoes, let alone write their name or can say the alphabet or multiplication tables. So the parents are fighting back, but because these trans people who don't know what the heck they are, they're going nuclear and they are literally being bullies to the parents, teachers, and kids that actually want to learn something that's going to help them later in life. But if you don't follow the doctrine of this trans person, you are actually being bullied, and the schools are condoning children and families into being bullied. It's time to fight back with this trans ideology and say no more, Sherlock. It's not going to happen. And it's even this trans nonsense is being promoted by the JoJo admin. It's all a smokescreen. If you see a trans person, it's called, if you don't agree with them because you don't agree with their trans ideology, they want you to go get psychiatric help. And so the psychiatrist can teach you how to be accepting of the trans people. Well, wait a second. I think the trans people need to go in for some psychiatric evaluation. Because way back when, remember Christine Jorgensen? She actually had to have psychiatric eval before she had any type of reconstructive surgery. Yeah. I mean, if a kid can't even decide if they want chocolate or vanilla ice cream, they can't decide what sex they're going to be. There's basically, you've got your female, male, and in some cases there is a genetic fluke that happens and a person is born as a hermaphrodite. Yeah. So you're either one of those things, male, female, or hermaphrodite. That's it. Take your pick. The only person who can choose what they're going to be is the person who was born as a hermaphrodite. That's it. And unless you were born that way, stay with the sex you were born. And gender is a synonym for sex. Okay? It doesn't have a new meaning. But that's how poorly educated all these little woke fools are. Now, even the woke mayors of Chicago and NYC are now trying to figure out, we're going to go down to visit the southern border to see how bad it really is. Well, Baboon Johnson made the crack. Well, once I know that my family is safe and secure, then I'll make my way down there. I'm like, dude, the minute you got elected mayor, after that election, before you were sworn into office, you and your frickin' nuclear family then had 24/7 bodyguards provided by the CPD. Hey, dudes, it's like, your family's already safe. He's such an idiot. He doesn't realize that. Yeah. There's a guy making sure that his kids basically don't get bullied on the playground. That's why I call him Baboon, because he doesn't have any sense. And he was put into office by the Chicago Teachers Union. And he's a product of it, of what they're teaching people. So he just proves how stupid the CTU is. And it's like, yeah, it's like right now we've got this big debate going on between Biden, and he's saying, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Oh, I'm going to put in 20 more miles of the South Wall. I'm like, no, he's not. It's like you've got JoJo saying one thing, the affirmative action hire, Karine Jean-Pierre, saying another version of something. You've got Mayorkas and Cammy Poo. Nobody's saying the same thing. And they think it's like, oh, what, 20 miles is a big deal. It's a drop in a leaky bucket. Well, we've had the building supplies sitting out in the open, not being used for over 3 years now. It's getting, I mean, every day I'm becoming more and more convinced that this guy is walking around with Alzheimer's and everybody's covering each other's butts, but nobody can keep their lies straight. And then, okay, the other day, Ronnie D was in South Carolina. Let's put it this way. I know somebody who lives in South Carolina and was at that thing where Ronnie D was talking. And there were people, quiet murmurs, making quiet comments. But she told me the most frequent comment that she heard was, this guy is no DJT. Why in the heck is he up here? Go back to the capital. Go back to Florida, dude. Make sure everything's set up for hurricane emergencies. And guard your own border. Ronnie D is neglecting because Florida has a big border just like Texas. You see, they come in on boats and they sneak up onto the beach in the dark of night. Yeah. How do you think these guys from North Africa and the ones that pray 5 times a day get to Mexico? Freighter and airplanes. You see, the ships can drop dinghies off along this Florida coastline. And these guys sneak in. Okay? Most of these freighter ships have tender boats. So the tender boats get them within waist-deep water, and they just walk onto the beach in the middle of the night. Ronnie D needs to be going back and watching his own border instead of stomping for votes. And, yeah, I know a lot of people are, a lot of creators and everybody, we have to watch what we're saying about people. And please do make sure to read the T&Cs. I mean, people were like, oh, you got to go on this phone app that's one of the words that's called one of the words out of AT&T. Well, I read their terms and conditions and I saw where their servers were based. And they're based in Dubai. And I'm like, I don't think so. And we know that Alphabet has changed some of the T&Cs. So, yeah, I've got some new artwork behind me. Okay? And I know people are smart enough to figure out what it is. Okay? Now, I know everyone who's watching this is a heck of a lot smarter than our current press person who's in the White House. I mean, KGP. I mean, this woman is a master at tossing word salad. She still is like, she finds so many ways to say, I don't know, that I swear she must have a ghostwriter telling her, okay, we have to come up with a new way. Especially, people are now calling out, it's like, okay, on his first day in office, JoJo signed a boatload of executive orders, which means he put laws out there, federal laws out, that he completely bypassed Congress and Senate. These are his laws that he wanted in effect, or his hand. This is Barry, who was his puppet master. This is what Barry wanted in law, to be put in force across the United States. And basically, it's a way to avoid allowing ourselves to be represented. I mean, yeah, he shut down the construction on the wall, and he also shut down the oil and gas industry. And now little KGP is saying it's the GOP's fault that all of this happened. It never went through the House of Representatives. It never went through the Senate chamber. It was a piece of paper handed to JoJo, and he just put his John Hancock on it. So how could it be these things happening be the fault of the GOP? I think the bleach that they're using on her hair is leaching in through her scalp into her gray matter. Oh. Now, the other thing that's happening, we've got on the donkey side, what we all know about Bobby Jr. Well, there's this other person who also, she tossed her head in the ring, Marianne Williamson. She's living in her own world of illusion. She's vehemently hostile to Bobby Jr. And what her little platform is she wants to bring back the FDR style of government. Okay, time for people to go back, go to a junk store, flea market, go and find a old history textbook that was written before 1980. Because those textbooks still kind of had the truth about FDR and his 4 terms of presidency. Yes, the guy was elected to be president 4 times in a row. Basically, FDR was a socialist. And yeah, he was a soft dictator. When he took over, okay, the market crashed in 29, and that was Hoover. And Hoover was scrambling to try to get the country back on its feet. Well, because the market crashed under Hoover's watch, okay, nobody's going to vote for him again. They're going to vote for FDR and his New Deal politics. Well, it was FDR's politics that some of the stuff he instituted was socialism. And after it was going for like a year or so, Congress realized, wait a second, these programs are not a good idea, so they closed those agencies down. And he had a lot of communist socialist schemes to turn America into a working version of Stalin's Russia. Well, people have to remember that FDR was also an anti-Semitic. And it was his administration. I mean, the Treasury Department was all set to pay for all the visas and all the fees and this and that for people who wanted to immigrate to the United States from Germany and Austria and Poland and all these places in Europe, because Adolf started his nonsense really seriously in 1930. So they were trying to get out, and the Treasury Department had the money ready to get people to pay the visa duties, the immigration duties being slapped on them by the German, at that time, Adolf's government. But it was FDR's Secretary of State, the people that actually issue visas and passports. It was his anti-Semitic Secretary of State's office that denied the visas. And there's a lot of people out there that think the Democrats are so fantastic, but they forget about that it was the Democrats that allowed a lot of people to be put into boxcars and then sent to a Zyklon B shower. That's the real history of the Democrats. Okay? And that's what socialism wants to get rid of, all religion. That's why they're pushing this stupid trans crap. Because many faiths say, hey, this isn't right. And yeah, our government is now getting more and more socialist with that's Barry's agenda. Because Barry wants to be a bigwig and possibly step into the position of power because, you know, Klaus S. and George S., they're getting up there in age. Barry's younger than me. So he wants to get in and be able to have one of the top jobs with the global leaders. I mean, right now we know what Carol Dingbat is pushing, and we know that this online security legislation that went through Parliament in the UK is like super nasty. Well, I guess they're using the excuse it's for to capture criminals, and now they've tossed into the headlines, oh, well, because we were able to use an application that a lot of people have loaded onto their phones so they can talk to people internationally, because they were able to tap into that phone app. They gathered the evidence on a couple people who work in healthcare who were giving some people the wrong medication. So yeah, they're using that excuse, online security, and they found out about this because they were snooping through, I guess, the text messages between some people on this phone application. That's their excuse. We want to be able to go through and see everybody's social media to protect people. It's a blanket invasion of privacy, but Carol Dingbat is promoting, oh, we caught these 2 healthcare workers. Yeah. Well, and the other thing, I know a lot of other things, it's now being announced quietly that the EU is rumbling, that they're getting decimated by all these people that are crossing the Mediterranean and are coming in. I mean, Viktor Orban has it right. He goes, you're coming into our country, crossing our border. Well, he put up a pathway with barbed wire electric fencing. You're going to cross our border. You've got a fenced-in border across the entire country, a walkway to the next country. And if they go to approach that wire fence, that chain link fence, they're going to realize it's made of razor wire and it's electrified. That's what Viktor Orban did. And that's what we need to do. But Europe is now, the EU is like going, oh my God, we are overwhelmed. We have sections of entire countries that are now considered no-go zones. I mean, Georgia, who's running, sweet Georgia, Maloney, who's running Italy, she's like, you want to come in? she's isolating them on islands and saying, no, you wait on these islands until you get processed. And these people are like getting really upset because she's shipping them back to an island. If they're caught by the Italian government, they're dumped back out on an island. And yes, her government did make sure that the real Italians were able to evac to the mainland with all their goods, all their possessions. Okay? Now, okay, I caught Mark Dice before I went to put on my makeup and stuff, and everyone's laughing because Criminal News Network had something on with Hilly. And basically, Hilly is saying that DJT supporters, they need to be re-educated. Okay, so Hilly wants to send anybody who doesn't agree with her politics to a re-education camp? Is she talking the ones that are located in the Big Red Sea? Well, that's kind of funny because I caught a news blurb from the ALPA website. I guess there's some company in the UK that makes some certain aircraft parts. Well, this is going to kick Rishi. This is going to be the Achilles heel of Rishi Sunak. The Prime Minister of England allowed a UK company to ship out intentionally faulty parts for commercial aircraft. Thankfully, our FAA is so strict. Anytime any kind of piece that comes in, a part, a replacement part, they all have serial numbers. When the box of the part is opened up at the maintenance hangar, that serial number is logged into saying, okay, part number X3278 is going into equipment number Boeing 737 number bum 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 beep 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 beep. So our FAA knows what part is in what aircraft, if from being shipped to the maintenance hangar, it's logged in to the record. When it's taken off the shelf, it's okay, it's been removed off the shelf at this date. It's now being used on this aircraft number. So when they found out that this UK company that Rishi Sunak, I have a hunch, has some connections to, is making faulty parts, Sunak has now, until this was discovered, had put hundreds of thousands of people at risk. So Rishi, it's time for you to go, because you condoned the export of these aircraft parts. This is his downfall. We know just no brain Trudeau applauds the German Socialist National Workers' Party. That's what Z guy is following. And we know Jojo is being is Barry's puppet. Well, Rishi Sunak, here's your big boo-boo. You gotta go now. And get somebody in who's going to start fixing the damage that you've done. So, okay, folks. I try to keep this under a certain time limit. So, yeah. I hope everybody has a wonderful evening. I'll have a video up on the 8th. That is Sunday. So most like it, as soon as I record it, I'll just pop it up. Because, you know, it's like, hey, it's football season. And I have to make sure that I'm away from the TVs so family members don't get upset because their team would lose. So yeah, everybody have a great Friday night. Have a great Saturday. I'll have a video up for you on Sunday morning. And enjoy the nice weather. This is the first kind of fall weekend we're having up here where you wearing a sweater actually feels good. Okay, see you later. Bye-bye.